The reputation of a vocational institution is largely measured by the student's success in becoming employed after leaving it. But what about the students whose success isn't measured by job security and a steady wage? The success of fine arts students can be seen in contributions like these.
There's actually an effort put into it. It's not just some scribble or like, it actually gives a kind of sense of character. So yeah, it's nice.
I put in work, I figured that it couldn't hurt. I should have served myself right, yeah, look alert. At this point, I'm past trying to find a new career.
See all the blank walls around here, graffiti. They've done this, no graffiti on these walls, and I love it.
Of the night sky graveyard crew, blaze out suit if you're moving in my sideline. Of them cold in the seismic pipeline, years delivery drive in the nighttime, and even moving other products on the.
This is a mural I worked on with a few other young artists over about 3 days, and we got council approval and approval from the lady that owns this building, and yeah, it was really fun. It's just like being able to paint in an outdoor area where people are going to see on walls.
This year, the government is cutting $180 million in funding to TAFE in New South Wales, focusing on courses that don't fulfil skill shortages. Fine arts were hit first, leaving students like Melanie Booth unsure of where to go next.
I didn't do my HSC, so that was a big factor in it. I looked at like COFA and Billy Blue and National Art School and all that. Some of them you had to have HSC for, and some were portfolio based. I looked at TAFE as well, because I know that for a lot of the courses it's for people that haven't finished school or whatever. But they didn't have anything that was primarily focused on art and art making or like art theory. It's the closest thing I found was design. So I had a look at that, and it sounded good, but I don't think I quite understood what design really was, and it's definitely a different path than I'm looking to take.
Green Senator Lee Rhiannon believes that the redistribution of funds could have detrimental effects on New South Wales art societies.
The short-term thinking that we're seeing from governments with regard to vocational education and training is particularly highlighted when you look at the fine arts. I've been at the Bega campus where the fine arts course has just about been destroyed because of the way that they have just forced fees on so many of those people, with this really totally unacceptable argument, well, people don't really get jobs in that area. That is such short-term thinking in terms of how jobs are generated. And when it comes to the arts, they're generated in very different ways. Certainly it's not traditional, but that doesn't mean that it's not a critical part of our society.
However, Parramatta Liberal MP Jeff Lee sees a reshuffling of funds as a necessary step with such a tight budget and underskilled workforce.
I think what we have to do, because we need to live within our means, the government needs to make some hard decisions, unfortunately. If we had unlimited money, everything would be fine, but what we need to do is use that money most effectively, so target the areas which the country and which the New South Wales needs to actually grow its skills development.
Xiao Hong Chu is one of the representatives of the TAFE Teachers Association and is part of the Education Union. Just this semester, there will be approximately 100 full-time staff being laid off at TAFE in Ultimo. Without any warning, the staff in Xiao Hong's department were told about the job cuts and were given only 10 minutes to discuss it with their supervisor.
And my immediate reaction and feeling was to find a corner and have a good cry. And the amount of anxiety and suspicion and disharmony it's causing, it's just awful.
Costs are being pushed onto students. So many of the students can't afford that. So therefore there's not enough students in many of these courses, and the TAFE campuses then say, well, we can't even run the course. Like the ripple effect here in terms of getting out into the wider community with the loss of talent, the loss of jobs, the loss of artistic endeavour is should be widely condemned. I don't feel it's known, enough is known about this within the wider community, but it's certainly very serious.
In the future, money will buy choice. If your course isn't subsidised, better think of Plan B.
There will be some students who may find that qualifications they want to take aren't included on the skills list, and they will have a choice of looking at whether they go and do that on a commercial basis, paying the sort of commercial fees that students are paying now, or whether they look at an alternative qualification that is subsidised, that has got a different sort of vocational outcome.
I think it's set me back a lot because I could have done better things with my time this year. I could have done a fine arts course, I could have had that underway by next year, but now I have to do a whole extra year just to get into a course that I want to do. It would be helpful if I had a professional opinion on my style and stuff I've already been working on, so they could help me like get better and go in the right direction that I want to be going in and help lead me that way, but it kind of sucks that way as well. There's no one there I can look up to or gain help from anymore from TAFE.
If courses continue to be cut at the same rate as fine arts, students may not be able to pursue their passion. Instead, their career paths may well be determined by government funding and skill shortages.